Well, we want to go through each one of these, right? Okay. So I would need a motion.
For each one of these,
Okay.
please.
So I have a motion for staff resignations and retirement. So,
Second.
Each of the individuals in there is known to the board. Certainly, our athletic director has resigned his position to pursue an administrative position closer to his home, assistant principal's position. So we're very happy for him. We're pleased that he's moving on to another position that he's excited about, where he'll have a chance to grow his own skills professionally. The teacher listed in your agenda, Don Gardner, who's resigned due to some personal reasons that she will be pursuing. We wish her very well. We wish her and her family much health and success in their future. And then the last person is Paul Stewart. Paul was our choral instructor, both a music instructor at middle school and high school. He's accepted a position at a magnet school for the arts close to his home in Akron City School. So we wish Paul much success as he goes on also.
Rich, could you speak towards how many applicants we have in this athletic director to date and how that's?
We have over 40, correct, Jay?
Currently 40 applicants.
40 applicants.
And some that are still having.
Yes, and we're in the process of screening those. We screened down to 7 right now that we're going to be interviewing on Wednesday. So Wednesday is pretty much a full day of interviewing for Mr. Bishop and for me.
Paul, he did a great job building that program for the choral. Director Paul Stewart did. I know the last 2 years it seemed like it was really taking off. So it sounds like you have a good person to step in, but he really built that.
He had a fine program, and we have a fine replacement for him who we'll meet in just a few minutes.
Well, that's awesome.
Because there's a lot of passion with the students.
Kids love the program, certainly.
It's a great program.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Kutowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gregori? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes. Motion for staff appointments certified? Second.
I would, before the board votes on this tonight, I'd like to have the opportunity to meet those two candidates. They're both here with us tonight. So they can blow it out. Don't mess up now. The first person has already received somewhat of an introduction by Dr. Phelps. That's Melanie Kennedy. Melanie, would you like to stand up and tell us a little bit about your background professionally and also educationally?
Hi, I'm Melanie Kennedy. I'm from Sandusky. I actually went to school at Eastern Michigan University for vocal music education, and I taught at Sandusky for the past 4 years. The last 3 were teaching middle school and high school choir. So I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. Melanie had the opportunity to grow a program of approximately 100 students to a program of approximately 200 students at your last school, correct?
Yes.
So we're looking for great things from you as you expand this program, which is, as I say, already a strong program, to make it even stronger. So thank you. The next individual is Christina Phelps. I might add, Dr. Phelps, she's no relationship to you. Christina, could you stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself also,
Hi,
please?
I'm Christina. I went to Baldwin Wallace College for my undergrad, and then I went to Kent State University, and I got my Master of Arts in Speech Pathology. My first job was at a nursing home, and from there I worked at Cleveland Clinic's Learner School for Autism, and then last year I was working at Mayfield City Schools, and I'm really excited to be here.
And we're excited to have both of them join our staff. Hopefully we said in anticipation of the board positive vote.
So any discussion?
Welcome.
Roll call?
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gregori? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Kutowski?
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion for staff appointments classified? I'll move. Second.
Mr.
All right, we do have one of those people here tonight.
Yes.
I'd like Amy Sassano to introduce yourself. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy Sassano. I will be here now a year in next month. We moved from Willoughby Hills to Chesterland. I have 2 children, a son that's going into 7th grade and a daughter that's going into 5th grade. I started back at my first MBA at Bank of America, worked there 17 years, and then was part of that whole severance package that took place back in 2013. But it was a good thing, so I was able to enjoy some time with my kids and be that groom mom or PTO mom, and that's what really made me interested in coming kind of back into the school system. And when I saw the position come up for the WestGBrd, I was like, oh, I'm like, now I can take this and keep an eye on my kids, being in school, new school and everything. So I'm excited to be here and excited to start tomorrow.
Thank you.
I think one of the things in looking and discussing some of the recommendations that we call up on reference checks, trustworthy, go-getter, a starter, always reliable, someone that you can give a task to and it'll be completed, and we are very excited to have her here. I know Sue is very excited to get her trained and move on to her new position as well.
So will there be, in your department, will there be cross-training so that,
We're cross-trained right now in payroll and payables. So this will allow us to have annual in receivables. So Sue will be trained in receivables and payables, and then Tina will also do cross-trained in receivables. So and then as Amy will then be cross-trained in payables. So we'll have at least one backup for each person we have available.
Now, when you say student activities, are you talking about the activity fund?
All those funds are going to handle it. And we have over 30 student activity funds, and each one of them has to be balanced every month. So we have quite a few things going in and out of those.
We have two other individuals who are affected by this resolution tonight. One is Eileen Seifen. I don't believe that Eileen is here
She's not
tonight.
here tonight.
She works with one of our homebound students as an instructional assistant. And the other person is Elizabeth Porter. She'll be working as the staff assistant receptionist, which is a secretary 2 position at the high school. Mr. Bishop, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Did you want to give a little bit of background about her and tell us who she is?
Yeah, she's a long history of virtual schools. She grew up in the community and her children went to the district. She is substitute taught. She has her teaching license. But then also she was interested in working for WestGBrd and applied this past year with the merger with Berkshire. Her position was eliminated due to some staffing issues. And because of that, she's also working at WestGBrd, and I look forward to having her. She'll be in the main office of the high school.
I would be flattered if I could say truthfully that she came here because I was here, knowing that I was formerly the superintendent of Berkshire. I do not remember her, and she vaguely remembers me. She was working there part-time, perhaps as a substitute when I was still there. So I did not know her personally, but I did interview her, and she seems to be a very charming person. I think she'll do very well, not only with the tasks you have for her, because she's obviously very bright, but I think she'll also work very, very well with the public. I think she'll present the kind of face and the kind of demeanor that we want people to see when they come into our schools.
any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Vittori?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion for administrative raises? Wait, no, go ahead. Go out, sorry.
Mr. Douglas, you had first.
That was that.
The raises are for 2.25%, which is consistent with what the teachers have received this year. I'm excited to be working with this team of administrators. I found actually the depth of talent and the breadth of experience is greater than I expected when I came here. I think they're all deserving of this. I certainly think that it's a raise that's well deserved, and I can assure you that they will work hard for that raise. I say they because obviously some of us here are not affected by this raise, but I think that they certainly deserve it. I think they'll do a nice job, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of them. So thank you on behalf of what I'm assuming you're going to do. I guess I'm jumping with them a little bit, but
Any discussion? This is typically what we have done as a district in the past. Whenever we have given raises to our staff, we've also done it with our administrative staff. So this is sort of in keeping what we've done in the past. Certainly they're deserving of these by recommendation.
Well, no, there were some years they didn't get any, so this was extremely.
Okay. So, any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Vittori?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion
Okay, motion for the recall of certified staff.
we have a need for one of the people who was ripped. in accordance with reductions that were made.
Make a motion,
Oh,
though.
I'm sorry, yeah, you should.
Make a motion. It's okay.
Second.
Sorry.
It's okay, no problem. Ditto to what I just said. We had a need to recall one of our laid-off teachers from last year. The person who will be coming back to work for the Board of Education is Susan Rehnhorst.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Cox?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion for change in contracts? Second.
I was careful on that. This is an action on the board which awards a continuing contract to Andrew Dolinsky. This is an action that the board should take very seriously because this is generally what's known as the awarding of tenure to an individual. So on the recommendation of his principal tonight, I'm bringing him before the board for that.
Anything you'd like to say, Denise? I mean, I don't know this individual, but I've had a number of people mention his name to me in a positive, very positive manner.
He comes from a family of teachers, some of which have been in the district. He has been in the district longer than his years reflected because he did many long-term almost year-long placements in second and third grade. And he has done a fine job for us and has shown the growth, I think, to be awarded this continuing contract.
Also, is it the end of the month?
He is
Similar
the one.
to this year?
Yes,
And he made a lot of sacrifices to teach in this district.
Yes.
Taking those temporary positions.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
When there were no full-time positions available, permanent positions available, so it was part-time or substitute positions, so that he would be in this district, so he'd be first in line for this position.
Well, I think his loyalty is about to be awarded. Anything else? Okay, roll call.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, motion for change in contracts?
The changes in the contract, I'm sorry. Star. It's a different format
I'll
than
second
I used
it.
Dr. Phelps, second.
Please, thank you.
I'll take my time. The change in these contracts the changes are being made because of increased educational experience. When a person advances in the pursuit of graduate credits as a teacher, they're awarded by shifting lanes in the pay grid. So these people's salaries are being increased because of their advancement to the next compensation step.
Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, a motion for district supplemental assignments. Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
This supplemental assignment is for the role of a musical accompanist. It's the rate paid $471. It's relatively small.
This was a for last year. We had some people. Those are results
Yes, so this was 2014, 2015?
for last year's school year.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion for district supplemental assignments. Motion? So moved. Second? Second. Okay.
This is for the 2015-16 school year. It represents a partial list of supplemental assignments. There may be more. The ones that are not included on this list were not included because I still have questions about them in terms of either who will be filling those assignments and or the need for those assignments. So it's not an indictment of any one position, nor is it an indictment of any person that they're not included tonight. It just speaks to the fact that I need more time to examine the need for the supplemental and also the individuals who are pursuing that supplemental. So it's a partial list. There may be more added in the future.
There were some already approved previously regarding the coaches. Those were already in place, so these are the most recent.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dori? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. And finally, motion for classified substitute list. Motion?
Second.
There's not a whole lot to say about that. This is a person who's being recommended as a substitute for our classified personnel.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dori? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phillips?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Do I have a motion to approve the DCS proposal?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Talk a little bit about this proposal. This is for the purchase of a new phone system for the district. I know there's some misperception out there that a very costly phone system was purchased a year or two ago. That's not the case. We've been working with a system which is a very old system. It's a very archaic system. Since I've come here, I can certainly attest to the fact that it is in fact very old and archaic and one that we should be looking to replace. I also think that this is going to yield some very good results for the district moving forward in terms of reducing costs. I think we see the break-even point at approximately 8 years right now with our current projections. Much of the maintenance of the system will come internally. We will be able to avoid some of the costs that we have right now with external lines. And then there also is a redundancy built into the program so that we're sure that in the case of an emergency or if there were safety issues, that we would have the means to communicate with outside agencies, et cetera, that are coming to our aid. So I think that this is a vastly more attractive offer than what the board had entertained in the past. Certainly it has been reduced from $600-some thousand down to about $189,000. And I know that Mr. Russo is here tonight. If there are any questions the board has, Mr. Whelan, I know that you too have been involved in this in terms of looking at the system and the needs of the system. So if the board has any questions, I would recommend if they're more in depth than what I just said to you, that you refer them to one of those individuals.
Is this one's are going to come from here?
Yes.
Yes.
This is going to be voice over IP?
So this will be under technology.
That includes any maintenance and so on, or is this the?
Maintenance is included in the $187,000.
Okay.
They're looking at taking on the maintenance, the staff feels that they're confident they can do that, as opposed to, I think our first proposal was what, $45,000 a year? 30,000 a year?
Dr.
What, you've got the full support you need, Sean, in terms of the technical support and so on that you can rely on from them.
Basically how ShoreTel works, and one of the things that's how I was brought in. The two systems technicians, Ed Chandler and Don Baker, were both brought in along with myself to meet with ShoreTel as far as the installation of the system, but also the maintenance. Basically how it works, when they go to do the install, we will be a part of the install process, so that we learn how the system works from top to bottom, so we'll be able to maintain it inside the district if there are problems, which is what we do with the current phone system right now. We're able to maintain most of the phone system internally right now. So we'll be able to keep progressing business as usual as far as maintaining the phone system internally.
It sounds like this is an easier system to maintain. One of my concerns is you have so much on your plate that having this responsibility.
Because it is a software-based system, we will be able to maintain it with no problems. I like to know how things work within the district anyway, so that's where my role will be. Most of the maintenance will come from our systems technician, Chandler and Don Baker. I will be a part of the install process and the maintenance process just before this. Speaking of redundancy earlier, we're making sure that everybody in cross-training, making sure that all of us know how to use and maintain our system. So we have a day where if they aren't here, somebody can't repair our system. We need to make sure that we have that in place.
One of the other things I'd like to add, and this is Doug Demeter, if you remember from the last meeting where I had a presentation, Doug was here from BCS. He was not obviously privy to Sean's presentation prior to tonight, but having heard that presentation, Doug, go ahead and mention what you just said about the switches.
We have quoted out about 60% of the needed gigabit data switches built into the proposal that you have in front of you. So,
Significantly impacting what Sean had presented previously. That's built into the BCS proposal.
So we're saving some more money that we just,
That's correct.
You can save more money from what I just said, because I said it was 189, I just said it's 184, so there you go.
we talked about buyback period of 8 years. Can you explain that, Sean? I mean, how is it that in 8 years will the system will pay for itself? Or Jim?
Yeah. Well, what you're looking at is, we know going in that we're going to save a minimum of $20,000 a year by getting rid of several phone lines. That's a minimum. There are some of the lines that we've been investigating for some time, but we're still not 100% sure of where they go to, who responds to them on these telephone bills, because trying to make heads or tails out of some of these AT&T bills, as I mentioned previously, is a real chore. So once we get into the installation, we'll be able to determine that there are other costs of phone lines that we're going to be able to eliminate. So we know going in, we're looking at a minimum of $20,000 a year that we're going to save, and we'll probably end up with upwards of $30,000 a year.
Hey, what's the current age of the system we have today?
1970s.
95. About
Nine-
95.
95.
About 1995 would be my guess.
Okay.
But
So is the life expectancy of a unit 20 years? And
The life expectancy of the ShoreTel system, by its design, has no end. So we deploy the ShoreTel system on a hardened appliance that really has a much larger capacity than the software that's actually running on that tool. And in addition to that, in the future, as a school district may look into virtualization technology of your servers, this phone system is also virtualizable completely for the call processing part of the phone system. So as you continue on your software assurance piece, if that's part of the plan, you'll continue to get upgrades as the years progress, with virtually no end of life in the phone system.
that's great. So we have a phone system that maybe will last another 20 plus years that we might be able to buy off in 5 to 8 years?
correct.
Okay, great.
And 25,000, I just added up, about $25,000 of the data switch, gigabit data switch costs in Sean's proposal will be.
They're getting bigger computers.
So 2-year plan then.
2-year plan.
Great, thank you guys. Any questions? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTroy?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Cox?
Yes.
Motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
These are services that are made available to Hawkins School and paid for through auxiliary funds.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTroy? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Cox?
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve the GCESC performance contract. We can discuss it. I'll make the motion. Do we have a second? Second.
This is an energy savings proposal, which is it's a stipend that is paid to one of our staff members to monitor energy consumption in the various buildings in the district. This person monitors energy consumption in the evening hours, over winter break, over spring break. It involves sending out reminders to staff in terms of disconnecting equipment in their classrooms, etc. It's a project which is, as you have seen from the information that I sent you, is used to demonstrate a concerted energy savings over time. It is one which, as you may recall, I said we would be looking at and monitoring the effectiveness of the program. At this point in time, I was recommending to the board that this be approved this year, and so this individual can continue doing this in the future. There may be some other ways to look at this in terms of monitoring energy consumption internally, but at this stage of the game, this is the person who has been doing this for several years, I believe.
Yes.
Correct, Mr. Russo?
2007.
And I would much like to have a year to study if there are alternative ways to do this before pulling the plug, no pun intended, on this individual at this point in time.
Discussion. We've seen this obviously ongoing for quite some time, and every single year there seems to be some type of concern as to when this end cycle is going to be. Like you said, there's obviously somebody or something, a plan has to be in place to help monitor it. But I'm at the point where I'm looking at a fee of $17,000, and I don't remember the exact year. Does anybody know when this was first implemented?
2007-8.
2007-8, and I think it was like a 5-year thing, and then after that.
Well, it was a 4-year program with Center Jester.
Right.
We paid them $200,000 a year for 4 years. But that program went away at the end of 2012. We no longer pay that company. The only thing that we utilize from that company is a software program that we pay about $2,000 a year for updates. And that's the software program that WestGBrd uses in monitoring all the buildings, HVAC, electric consumptions.
Okay, so I guess where my concern is, now that we've gone through the 4-year process, that's over with, and we saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in energy savings. Now I feel like we're at this end cycle of wash in this $17,000 that we're still paying out to get a return. I mean, it was worth it, in my opinion, those first 4 years, and then even for the next year or two after that to maintain it and make sure that cycle is going out. But to me, it seems like this is a very small job that can be dispersed elsewhere for $17,000.
I mean, you make a great point. The problem I think we've had is we haven't had leadership to do an analysis of that. I think when I first came on board, I had a lot of questions because I didn't know what Wes did. And you did a great job of explaining, even showed, I think, where he pays for himself in great terms. But yeah, I think at that point, we were looking to see the following year, and we just never did it. So I think with Dr. Mark right here and his attention to that, because we've had discussions separately about this. I think they made this same offer, the same group, to your previous district, and you were trying to see if they had merit. So I think going forward, Jack, I see your concerns, but I think going forward, we just don't have enough data to support not doing it. And he does support $17,000 we pay him in savings. So it's not, I don't think it's something that we're wasting $17,000. I think it justifies its existence just to that point. Would you agree, Jim?
Yeah, the other thing I would mention in response to what Jackie said is you can't look at the $17,000 in terms of what we're saving. The savings comes from the monitoring of the energy usage, setting set points on all of this HVAC equipment, making sure that equipment shuts down. We have shutdowns at the end of every school day in every building. We have shutdowns over breaks. Over the summer, for example, we don't run air conditioning in these buildings in spaces that are being used, unfortunately, by the custodial staff for cleaning. We're not running air conditioning units. We run those when students are in the buildings. So that's where the savings comes from. The energy consumption is what you're saving, not the $17,000. The purpose of that $17,000 is to pay for the services of the person that's monitoring that.
Energy conservation is an ongoing thing. It's not
Absolutely.
No, and I understand that, but I'm very then hopeful to see that Dr. Marker will find a different solution that maybe we even save 15.
Oh, that'd be great. And if this is the solution, I mean, the main thing is to investigate it and see if this is a rational way to proceed or not, and come up with another solution if it is. Right now, but we still need to do those things because we don't have a substitute. And so we can't just cut this and then expect to continue the kind of savings that we've had through the program. So I'd
Really,
say
then maybe
another
it's
year.
something that's a cross-trained effort as well. I mean, when one person is able to.
That's a really good point because one of the problems that we have always had, one of the things that Wes is sort of watching to remind us of is that if he's not doing it, no one else can, essentially. And that puts us in a vulnerable position, not in the sense of being black and like Wes, but simply being vulnerable to his incapacity or something serious happening on a vacation that requires attention. So yeah, we need to cross-train this.
Any more discussion? Okay, vote please.
Mrs. DeTore?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, do I have a motion for the proposal for the varsity baseball field renovations and survey contracts?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone who has been out to a varsity baseball field knows that the field is in awful condition right now. If it's going to be playable for next year, we have to move on it yesterday, so to speak. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to that field, and in order to get an expert opinion on that, I'd like the board to engage the services of Benke and Associates to give us a plan for the renovation of that field. I've already met with one of the representatives. She has looked at the field and given us some pretty specific needs that we have to address right now. I also am asking the board to approve a surveyor who would be giving us a topographical study of that field so that we can begin immediately to address the needs of that field. We have to start in August if we're going to have the field playable by next year for the baseball team. So this is one that I truly have put on fast track, but I think that our student athletes in the baseball program deserves that.
One of the things I'd like to discuss too, or to say, this isn't, this field renovation wouldn't be like the undertaking that we did necessarily with what we did with the football field. It's in order for these guys to have a season, these kids to be able to play on that field. It isn't to give them the best we could possibly give them, it's just giving them a field they can play on. And so I think we've heard turf committee come here and say that I think baseball is the next kind of thing that they would like to take up. This has nothing really to do with that other than we weren't able to have but maybe 2 games, Jay, last year, 2 home baseball
We had
games.
one that was going to play, but it was ended up being canceled, not with field issues, with weather issues.
Yeah, we have drainage problems, we have all sorts of issues. It's nothing that I think, not only is our kids playing something they can't really be proud of, but they might be able to get hurt. I mean, there's fence issues, there's all sorts of things going on there, so.
I was just going to say, before we leave that topic, though, I want to let everyone be assured that whatever we do on this field will not be wasted money. In other words, we won't be making a fix to this field, which will then be supplanted by ones put forth by the turf committee. One of the things that I would like to do, once we move past the immediacy of addressing the needs for the baseball field right now, is to look at a master planning proposal that will address all of our athletic facilities moving forward. And one of the things that I have made very clear to folks from Benke is the fact that this cannot be a fix which in 5 years we tear off. This is something that will remain. There is the possibility that this field could eventually in time become a JV field rather than a varsity field, depending upon the orientation of the field and the desirability of other fields for play, but that would have to be part of the master plan. In the meantime, we would have a good playable varsity field with the field that we have in place. And if we do something larger down the road in the next few years, this field will still play a vital role in that plan.
And I would say to the board real quick, Ben, in talking with the turf and listening to some of their ideas, and I hope I wasn't speaking out of school for the board, I said, well, I couldn't get behind that so that football field to pay for it. Until we have that project taken care of, to do an elaborate or, and again, it's just because that has to get paid for first. Then we know it might be.
Rich, in terms of the survey, they're going to survey the project area. How much beyond the playing field and so on are they going to do? Because obviously there are drainage issues.
They need to go into the woods, obviously.
Yeah.
The field you can see, what they have to look at is what the drop-off is to the woods, to the south of the field. That's primarily what they're interested in, because we have to make sure that we get the water out of the infield and also out of the outfield. So what they're looking at right now is the fact that the irrigation system that was installed in that field is pretty much non-existent because of the work that was done subsequent to the installation of that field. It needs to be an irrigation field put into the infield and the outfield, and the infield both need adequate drainage. There also has to be clay and sand put in. There's some irregularities that have to be cut out. Lips in the infield, and then also the pitcher's mound has to be addressed. And as Mr. Thorson said, one of the things that I've asked at this point in time to be included as an alternate in the estimates that they will use for us to go out to bid would be some attention to the fencing as well, because the fencing is in pretty rough shape. So it's pretty comprehensive.
It sounds like
it's a sizable
there
project.
has to be some kind of drainage to intercept the water that's getting down on the field.
Right now, what they're using, and of course the topography study is going to help us some of this, but what they're looking at right now is something that's been used with great success on golf courses. It's called slip drains, And it's a methodology that wasn't available 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they're using it now, and they're using it on baseball fields with a lot of success. So hopefully, with the advances that they're making in terms of the techniques they use to drain fields, and also just looking at the topography of the field and the crowning of the field, et cetera, we'll be able to put a field in that will last us for many years.
I think what we talked about earlier about having the master plan for the technology, I feel sad that we got to this point, and so like the technology, we don't want this baseball field to do this in 5 years, we want the computers to work in 5 years. We want to have a master plan that wasn't ever there. So for this to get this way, there obviously wasn't anything, there wasn't enough being looked at, so I'm so glad that we're talking about master plans for these really big things, because this is our community, and to have a field like that with a fence like that was, that was one of the things I felt strongly.
So you also have a cost estimate for a master plan. I just thought it was a bit much to put on tonight, because and it's step by step. So
No, but at least we're heading in the right
we're
direction.
looking at it.
What about the funding for this?
Again, I want to address this because we're going down the same path as previously.
We have the 1 mil PI levy that we have in place, that's for about $15,000. Mr. Russo and Dr. Marquardt kind of sat down and readjusted expenditures out of that $600,000 PI.
Was that bill changing yet? Because at one time I thought it was 630.
It depends on how much we collect and whether it's delinquencies or not. So 631,000 is 1 mil.
Right.
And so it depends on how much I don't ever let him spend that. So he's got like 90.
I've never seen $630. It's not so bad.
But, he goes over.
But that mill will change each year,
It
right?
changes each year based on collections. And so we budget
not a
about,
lot to take.
we budget about 98% of it. So that's what I budget, So 595, 600,000 is what I kind of budget for, and if we need to overdo it, unforeseen issues, we have some money to take care of. So what we did was, there's some serious HVAC issues that were selected in there, in the 1 mil amount. Those will be, again, addressed in the energy efficiency out of the 9,000 account. And then we reduced some expenditures that we were going to make, we delayed those. Some expenditures we were going to make on the bathroom, so we delayed those to next year. So in order to come up with approximately $275,000 for the field.
And I would say to the board, in Karen's report that she sent to the board, we talked about a retreat. I think that this is where these funds are coming from and where the PI, that will be a great item of discussion for us at that retreat. Because some of these things are being thrown at you sort of last minute to say, where are these numbers coming from and how are we getting these? Karen and Jim and Sean and Dr. Marquardt have worked pretty hard at where those numbers can go. And I think that'd be a great retreat thing to take a look at, where this money's coming from. So, any more discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Detoria? Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Kukowski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, a motion for recommendation for sealed coating bids. I'll move. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Dr. Marquardt?
This is something that's done really as a means to keep our parking lots and facilities up. Eventually, the seal coating needs to be replaced by a more comprehensive approach to areas that need attention in terms of taking out some of the understructure of the parking lots. But at this stage of the game this year, we're looking at seal coating once again. We feel that the parking lots are in good enough shape to sustain this for another year. I believe the amount on that was around $36,000, wasn't it, Jim?
Right.
And this, of course, was put out to bid, and they were the lowest responsible bidder, and student that we've chosen.
Quick question, if you foresee that it's going to be coming pretty soon, that we're going to have to replace some large portions of it, is it, at that point, will you be needing to replace it all at once, or should we start replacing it?
No,
piece by piece?
my plan would be to replace it over a period of time. Because believe it or not, we have over 500,000 square feet of asphalt in the school district. It's a lot of asphalt. And we've talked, that's part of what we talked about when we talked about moving PI monies around, et cetera. I would see a plan where we would do at least one building a year, for 4 years.
So what we tried to do was put together a 4 or 5 year plan, master plan for facilities right now, what were our immediate needs and prioritize that. And so that's what we're still kind of arguing over what the priorities are. Just because they change. Not arguing over between us, but just, you know, what is it? What is the top priority? So I think, as we look at that, that's certainly something the board needs to have input on, and would be something we want to discuss with the group.
How much are we, seal coating? We're still coating everything? Or-
Yes.
Yes, that would be.
So that's,
Crack
like
ceiling
per
is
square
cool.
foot cost is like under 10 cents.
Yep.
And are there any portions, because I know that every year we have a couple spots that they dig out and maybe replace some of the asphalt. Do we have any examples here?
There's one section that I'm looking at as a possibility. It's actually at Westwood, we have some problems in the catch basins. We get so much water there, the last time we had the major downpour last week, it just gets flooded. And there's so much water there, and those 3 drains can't take all of that water at one time, so it just erodes that asphalt. So there's probably a little bit of patching that I'll, not huge, but a little bit of patching that I'll do there. But beyond that, I'm not anticipating doing a lot of asphalt work at this stage.
And we replaced the upper lot, the area in
Here.
the upper lot at the middle school.
Sections of, yes,
That-
because we were bringing buses in there this past year, and the asphalt base there is not strong enough to support buses, so.
Can I give you this is very small and maybe even petty, but it's for the kids. And I think the seal coating is great to buy us any more time possible. I'm all for it. But the past 2 years, the seal coating covers up all of the elementary playgrounds. And I'm no longer at Westwood, and I'm not saying there's not somebody out there, but it has become PTO responsibility to put Foursquare and game items that these kids use on a daily basis. And often, when the grounds are wet, they can't go out in the field, or they can't go, and they need this blacktop games. If there's a way that they can,
We're not
spray those.
still coating the playgrounds.
Okay, good.
That's not being done
Okay.
this year.
They were last year, and the year before that. I think
The
we paid
year before that, yes, you had to replace the flat.
No, I just want to make sure the kids have, the
Yes,
things
that's not
they-
being done this year.
So this is probably your last subject to be talking about. Do me a favor, when these buses come in that we just purchased, these 3 buses, put them on our website. Take a picture of them and put them on our website.
Okay.
I mean, it's a major purchase, and they're gorgeous.
They are. They're
Okay.
very
I mean, it's totally unrelated to steel coating, all this other kind of stuff, but I know
Okay, we'll be
we
happy
made
to
3
do
new
that.
purchases this year, right? 3
Correct.
buses.
Yep.
One of them's here, or the other 2?
They're all 3.
3 here, okay. Great.
And that's your plan going forward is 3 a year, right?
I'm sorry?
That's your plan
That's
going
another,
forward.
that's
It's
another.
another,
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Kwiatkowski? Dr. Galt?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. Detour? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the June financial reports?
It's just a report.
Second.
No,
Got a voting.
I know. Don't look at that. Just report, hold on, I'm sorry. Can you go to the report?
Yeah.
It's okay. All right, as we look at your end of the year financial reports, I did provide you with a written variation analysis on the financial reports for the end of the year. As you look at Treasurer's Report A, if they're pulling that up, this is our bank investment report. We have approximately $14.7 million in our bank account as of the end of the year. This, of course, reconciles to the second page, which is Schedule B. This is our bank reconciliation, so you can see where we have those funds invested now. So $627,000 are in Star, Ohio. $14 million are in First National. This gives us the highest rate of return at this point. And then Huntington Bank, we have our primary checking and payroll accounts that are in place there.
Are you moving those around for?
We need to have I've got the 3 proposals that we have available for the investment firms, and you and I need to sit down and
love that you're doing that, thank you. We have not done that, but thank you.
So we have those three coming in play. The Schedule C that we have for Report C, this is our, of course, you can see sideways. This is where we see our current fund balance of $14,668,000 that reconciles to our cash reconciliation. So we just know that that's, all of our funds have been properly accounted for at the end of the year. What you want to focus on is Treasurer's Report D. This is our end of the year report, and this is where we've had some discussions in the past year. So if you look at our total revenues, if you look at our overall total revenue and other financing resources, you see a $260,000 positive variance from our budget, and also when you look at it, we have a positive variance from our prior year. This is primarily related to property taxes. We had higher than expected collections in our delinquencies. This is an unusual year according to the county auditor. They were able to collect more, almost 102% of our taxes, really focusing on people who are at the verge of foreclosure. So people paid up their taxes in order to avoid foreclosure.
Do you think that's also foreclosure transfers?
I think it's foreclosure transfers
I
as
think
well.
there's more of that than people catching. I think
Yeah.
that's foreclosure transfers.
So I think that we are not going to, they've asked us not to budget that next year, because we're not going to see that again.
I have to tell, NAR says that's another 2-3 year thing of foreclosures being put back in the market.
Well-
And then that recoupage, the school benefit from.
They think that we're at the tail end of that. Now, we're also, we will see, and this was in our February update, so we will have to monitor those going along. And our delinquencies are about $350,000, so part of that will be in there. So we're not talking about a huge number, but we are talking about something significant for us. In the other item, other restricted grants and aid, that's another area of variance that we wanted to talk about. We have 2 years of catastrophic aid that has been reported in 1 year. Last year, they were supposed to pay us in June $100,000 in trying to figure out what those encumbrances were, because that was, in essence, almost $1 million higher than what we had last year and previous years. So we didn't know what was in there. So what you see is that line item in purchase services, $1.1 million, is a positive variance. That's related to that cushion. Now, as you can see that we have been consistent when you look at the year to year. We had $4.4 million this year. We had $4.6 million last year. There's a $250,000 timing issue. So if you look at it between the years, we have about $4.7 million versus $4.6 million. So we're consistent between the years, and we cleaned up those encumbrances. You don't see those encumbrances now. Instead of $1.6 million, they're now $900,000. So we were able to clean those up, and consistently, they were just things that had been closed out, or there were things that were in where that we didn't actually sell.
Do you think that this is going to be a lot easier to do now that you're handling this in-house as opposed to having Mentor as a subcontractor?
I don't think that was as much of the issue as I think we didn't close out some things at the end of the year last year as best we can. I believe we will have this more consistent approach as we go forward.
You think it was temporary and
I think it was a bubble.
substitute and?
I think it was a bubble. If you look at the personnel services, you see a negative variance between the years. That's related to a couple of items. One is the raises that were put in place at 2.25% raise. The other one is related to, we had 6 aides that we had previously had in purchase services. That's one of the reasons we have a little lower purchase services that are now included in, we hired them. They were hired through WIXI, and we paid a 4% administrative fee on that, so we hired them ourselves to save that 4% fee. We also have 2 additional staff that we didn't have before. One of those is the central offices are in school. Capital outlays, we're a little bit under budget. Part of that is waiting to see what we're going to do on networking and things, and also we delayed the purchase of textbooks until this year, probably about $175,000, and then Nancy's going to be spending all that money next year and going forward. But we just didn't have a good understanding where we wanted to spend that money this year, so we held off. Those are primary variances that we see. Again, our encumbrances are $933,000, so we had estimated we'd be at $9.2 million in a cash, unencumbered cash balance. We're going to be at $10.9 million in unencumbered cash balance. As I pull this forward going for 5 years, this doesn't get us out of the needing new money in 2019, but it reduces the amount by $1 million that we would have there. I'd have to ask the,
$1 million
that's part
is
of
still
that.
pretty significant.
But that's part of our budget. We anticipated a conservative budget. I think, what happens in purchase services at the end of the year is we have a lot of tuition, we have $500,000 coming from the joint vocational programs. We have $2 million in services coming from Geauga County. They were behind this year. And so I was very uncertain of how those payments would, if they didn't in time and make them. So I think we have a better handle this year.
So if you do the forecast one again in October?
October we'll have a new updates forecast. We updated the May one to kind of update our budget. And this is against our May revision, because you see the personnel services very close. In October we'll add another year. We're going to look at 2020. And so we'll make these revisions. And I think we can bring that purchase service amount down. And Ken has done a remarkable job in looking at services for our kids with special needs and really finding the best suited placement for our kids, and also looking at costs. Do we ship, do we pay for transportation somewhere? I know Cheryl has been instrumental in trying to get our kids to and from various locations in the most economic way we can, because we have to pay for transportation there. We've also had several of our kids have moved back into the district, and instead of an outside placement, we've allowed them. They've been able to move back into the district, and we can handle that. So he looks at that. His office is right next to mine now, so we have a very good daily understanding of where those kids are being placed and really what we need to spend. Geauga County, again, we will see increases in their fees this year. We're going from that 4% administrative fee to a 5% administrative fee based on the changes we made in the ESC. And then we'll also see they have obviously given their staff raises and increases in healthcare. So we'll see an increase in their services as well. But I know Rich and I have discussed how we'll purchase those services and really how effective what we can have in-house and what we have to purchase from outside. So those are all ongoing discussions. Purchase services is where we'll spend our time this year. Getting a very good understanding and kind of trying to keep that in control. That's really kind of the only place we haven't, I don't think I've been understanding everything that goes in. There's a lot of things that go in there. So that'll be a focus and goal for me this year.
Very good.
All right. And that is, and we'll continue with that. We also have reports E. That's just a monthly report that you have available to you. Treasurer's Report F. This is our cafeteria food service program. Looking at this food service program, we were almost to break even. $2,800 is where we're year to date. As compared, if you take out the year-end advance of $50,000 for last year, we had lost about $11,000. So we are continuing to improve the performance in our food services.
So what have you given them as a beginning fund, or what have you rolled over for this coming year?
They have about $40,000. We didn't give them an advance, and this will be something we talk with the auditors about, whether or not we continue to advance them or we do a permanent transfer. Now that they're at the point of break even, whether or not we continue to do that. Last year they had a cash flow problem. We had to advance that, and they had encumbrances out there. This year we were able to cut those encumbrances. We didn't have those, and we paid off everything, so we didn't advance anything. And we'll have to talk about whether we do a permanent transfer at this point. They couldn't pay back the $51,000 because they only have $40,000 worth in their account. So they'll be in good shape for going into the
Chair?
Yes,
When,
sir.
when the annual cost of our school lunch program. Are we depreciating the equipment, or is it just
This
our
is-
out-of-pocket
This is
straight
out,
costs?
this is straight cost. And when you see the CAFR, that's when we have the depreciation and for the equipment, that this is direct cost.
Do lunches go up this year?
We will not have lunches go up. One, we didn't have, we just had a levy go through, and we did not have, our superintendent weigh in on that yet, so I didn't feel like we were responsible in doing that.
Yeah, it would be nice to compare and contrast what other schools are doing.
And we'll look at fees. We took a more holistic approach to student fees this year. And if you remember, we had some, our principals up to look at what you need in the classroom, whether, we can reduce some of those fees. So we didn't include any in the lunch fees this year. Item G. This is an up-to-date report on your auxiliary funds, federal grants. You can see that we received $676,000 in federal grants. The majority of that coming from our IDEA Part B grant. That's for our kids, our students with special needs, to get some federal funding for that. The other part is the Title I basic funds, $100,000. As you recall, I think I gave you a report that our IDEA Part B grant will be reduced this year. It'll be down to $449,000, plus a little carryover. We'll see some carryover from what we didn't use this year, but the IDEA grant has gone down, particularly from, for a variety of reasons, but it has been reduced a little bit. The Title I basic funds, that actually went up from $180,000 to $126,000. You'll see an increase in that. And then the other ones are grants we've already discussed. And then you have your cafeteria. This is a year-to-date. When you look at this number of meals served, there's a school year. I added the end of the year meal recap. And it's consistent with what we've had in the past. I compared this to last year, whether high school, middle school, Westwood and Lindy, and they were all within 1% of where they were last year. So high school had 25% of the meals, middle school had 28% of the total meals, Westwood 27, Lindsay 20. They're all consistent with where we were last year as well. So there's no
We're hoping
shifting.
this year high school goes up drastically.
That's right. We've got a new,
Come on, 10%.
shoot for 10%. That completes my report, Mr. President.
Do I have a motion to approve the June checks? Second?
Second.
Monthly, we give you a list of all the warrants that we paid. You have 30 days to approve those payments, and that is listed here in item T1.
Roll call?
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mr. Torrey?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Motion for the now and then statement?
We have one item on there.
Do I have a motion?
Oh, sorry.
I move.
I'll second it.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's
My bad.
contagious.
It is. We have one item on there relating to an expenditure that came through Vanessa, we recall on our musical. This was a reimbursement to her on some expenditures that she had.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a motion for statements of purpose and budget? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
They're listed in item D for our supplemental appropriations for a number of our student activities.
These are the funds they raise and then they.
They will fund, these are funds that they'll raise and they'll spend out this year.
Discussion? Okay. Roll call?
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeTore? Yes. Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion for supplemental appropriations. So moved. Second?
Second.
Discussion? Again, the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, roll call?
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFore?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve blanket purchase orders? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Last year you did not have this, but you should approve all blanket purchase orders. Now, I've included a listing of all the purchase orders, and what we consider a blanket one is that we put out an amount, and then throughout the year, we will use that appropriated amount to pay for bills that come through. Let's say mileage, electricity, things like that. So these are the blanket purchase orders in place.
Okay, discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Katsowski?
Yes.
Dr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mr. Thorson?
Yes.
Mrs. DeFore?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, I don't know that we had any standing committee meetings that I'm aware of. All we did with. Okay, so any discussion on curriculum and technology? Dr. Phelps, did you? Okay. Karen and I, just in the finance side, we need to develop a committee for, I'll call it checks and balances. What's the true?
We're going to develop the audit committee. That's something we'll discuss at the retreat as well, on how we look at it, if it's going to be an annual charter or we're going to continue.
Right, and Ben, I envision what you had talked about too, having some of those, that could be a great place for, in that audit committee, for that discussion and, for that purpose.
Well, yeah, and we should discuss the concept of bringing on local professionals to our various communities, so we have the expertise, people have it, and people are willing to spend some time helping us out and bringing a little more professionals to some of the specialized areas. So, yeah, and we can talk about that at the retreat.
Are you good with that? Good,
Yeah.
good, because I mean, I know it's been a few meetings, we've dragged that out before, but I think the retreat is going to be an excellent place to talk about how that might look. Mr. Douglas, anything on personnel?
No.
Jackie, I know that,
Yeah, we met with Tim Compton, and we reviewed same stuff I did right at the tail end of Nutter, and we reviewed again now that Rich is on. And once we get some things cleaned up in our own system, we'll see those next week for the first reading.
great.
And 95% of them are kind of either state law that has been implemented, so there's only about 8 or 9 of them as opposed to the 20 or 30 we've seen in the past.
Great. Okay, new business, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I wanted to just go a little bit with new business, just to talk about the retreat. Rich and I had talked about this probably 2-3 months ago, and it's sort of gotten out of hand. I know with summer schedules, everybody's been pretty busy, but if we could just define even a day where we talk about some of these issues, I would really appreciate that. So if everybody has their calendar, we could look at that. I was thinking, we used Henderson before. I think it's worked out really well for us. Is that a pretty good spot for everybody? I mean, it is, okay. Henderson works out pretty good. I'm looking either the last week or the first, well, last week's coming around the corner for July, the first week of August. I have probably the most flexibility in schedule, so I'll defer. I think, Jack, yours is probably way out of whack, and Dr. Phelps, I know that you've got some things going on, so I'm gonna leave it to you two. You're in the country, are you not?
Yeah, a couple of times, and I'm now working like 12, 14 hours a day, so I would have to beg my boss for a day off other than Mondays or my arm or day off.
We also have the conservation plan, 6th and 7th, which is
For August?
So, yes.
And you're going where? Yeah, we're going to. I was just saying.
Thanks
Well,
to
we
the
can
generosity
do
of
that on the
one
lake,
of
I'll
our
look
staff.
on the lake if you guys would
It's a
want to.
donated facility.
Well, I have a donated facility if you want to sit on the lake and retreat.
That sounds good.
I agree with that.
So
That's serious, so.
does a Monday, would a Monday ever make sense, Dr. Phelps?
Yeah, it's 2 months now. Not before school starts. That would be canceled next week.
So, and so you don't have anything that looks even remotely like you could.
Well, Mondays are my only day off right now. I guess if you just give me 3, I'll just beg my boss and see which one is the lesser with doing those.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we look
Like
at
I know
those
for
dates?
sure I'm going to New York next week.
We'll send out an email.
I have, I looked at the 12th, the 17th, or the 19th, as far as getting availability at Henderson, so I'll send out those dates for you and see what we can work out. But
The
they're
12th is
And I don't make assumptions for Ben and Michael. Are those dates?
I'm good, I have nothing I can't move.
I'll try to work around the schedules that I need, but,
The 19th was,
is a Wednesday on the 19th,
I'll be here 17th and completely on it.
you know, the country.
19 works. Maybe 17 does.
Okay,
We
well,
may have to go into that next week.
and if I may, just as an outline, some of the things that we're going to talk about in this retreat, and I'd just like to have this in a minute, so if I may, it's sort of our organizational chart. Now, I know that we've asked in previous times for an organizational chart, we just don't have one. Dr. Mark White and I have talked numerous times about it. That's job descriptions, how that looks. How long has it been in our district that we've not had that?
1999 is the last.
So how many superintendents is that?
I don't know yet.
Okay, so we've been sorely missing that organizational chart. I
And
think that-
guidelines as well we're going to be given.
job descriptions.
I know,
Yeah.
both.
And I mean, so we have not had an organizational chart or job descriptions in this district for quite some time. Those are something that we're gonna nail down.
I will say, you've had job descriptions, you just haven't had them updated. Some of them go back as far as 1985, some of them are much more recent. But the ones that go back to 1985 obviously need to be updated considerably because a lot has changed in 30 years, right? Mr. Whelan? So those, I make the process actually, tomorrow, that's a good part of my day, we're looking at job descriptions and starting to.
Sounds great. We looked pretty heavily, and it's sort of been a pet project of mine, of the AP courses. And Nancy, I think we went from 10, I think we added 2 just this last year for Nutter. Darren's I think added 4. Where do you see us going with that, Rich, in the next, and again, this is a retreat item, but where do you see our AP classes going in discussions, and what would that number look like? Because I think even at 16, it's a great step in the right direction, but if we're competing with some of those top-line schools, they have quite a few more than 16.
Some sense you can target, but I think that you have to have enough courses that you can fill with the students you have, and certainly this is more than what we have. And there are also other options as well, some of the college credit plus options, et cetera, which will be out there, which I think will be attractive to our students. We need to make them aware of those. Those are all options we have to acquire put our school on the map, so to speak, as being a high-performing institution.
Awesome. Which brings me to one of the things Mr. Douglas had talked about, I think right about the time you had started, is about communication. I have to tell you, it has been tremendous every week to see a report from both of you as to what you've done, what's been going on, right down to, unfortunately, a small accident, one of our staff members, and an immediate email just to say everything's okay, a couple stitches, things are good. That I haven't seen as a board member almost 2 years now, ever. I don't know when that stopped, but it's been tremendous to see that continued and for us to know. It's one of those grocery store items, they used to call them in sales, an elevator ride. It's one of those grocery store items, I think, for each one of us board members. When you see somebody from the community that talks about something, you have no clue. And it's pretty nice to know exactly what's going on in the district. So thank you, and thank you for the administrative team. I know you filled in and given some information. That's awesome. So as a board, as a retreat item, I don't even know that I even need to address it because you've done a great job. But those are some things I think going forward that will make our board a little bit stronger. Alumni grant review. I know their 501c3, I think, Karen, is expired as people are donating for alumni, and as we look at that position to
They're not
ensure.
set up as, they've never been set up as a 501c3, so the discussion whether or not we would want them to apply for that status.
Again, as we look at that as a viable position and we're building that, I think that that's something that we really need to look at in moving forward. We just haven't
How
done it.
long are they behind doing the 501? Because when we got ours for Westwood, they were 18 months behind granting. they're very, so if you're gonna do it, you
The
want to start
application,
quick.
yeah, the application doesn't take long to do, and, but it's a long time before you do it. But they can be,
Well, I've
hopefully
worked,
18.
I've worked pretty hand in hand with Karen, and I want to applaud you for getting the licensure now to take some of our monies and do investments. I mean, have we ever done that in the district? So going forward, and again, another retreat item, how that will look for us, because there are revenues we can get in moving our funds in different places and using them as an investment strategy we've never done before. And again, I think that's just gonna make us better as a district to do those sort of things. I applaud you for getting that license, thank you very much. More importantly, I think it's something that we need to do. The same is, I noticed you've been moving funds in various banks to get better interest rates. Again, something that we touched upon but never really did, and I think it's awesome. So, just basically, the last thing I have for you, Rich, is just the performance index targets. You know, I know that's kind of a tough grade to give you, but what will be, and that'll be right after you've had your administrative meetings, I would think. What is the goal for our performance index? What will that look like? Maybe at that retreat, we can talk about that as well, and what our goals will be.
And then we'll put the 5-year capital projections on there as well.
Wait, I mean, is this a solid, agenda of what we're gonna talk about, or because, I mean, we really wanted to hear about, you know, what resizing the district, grade level of buildings, you know, potential, there are so many different options there, that, we keep going on this roller coaster of pushing it off further and further.
I think those are all appropriate topics for the agenda meeting. I know in some of my updates, Chad mentioned some things that I'd like to discuss, which I really just need the input and the consensus from the board. I'm happy to chart initiatives, I'm happy to recommend courses of action to the board, but ultimately you're the people who were represented by the public to chart overall and to basically give me a sense of direction. I don't look to you for ideas, but I look to you for the parameters in which you'd like me to exercise my ideas. And so there's some decisions that we have to make that are not only timely and relevant for now, but which will affect this district for 5, 10, 15 years into the future. And I really think we have to look at those as well.
Okay, that's pretty much where I'm at with my business. Our next meeting will be August 24th, 2015. We'll be in this meeting room at 7 p.m. And I need a motion to go in executive session to consider the employment of public employees and compensation and matters required to keep confidential. Do I have a motion? Move. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'd like to invite our treasurer, our superintendent, and our board attorney to that meeting, and there will be no action after this executive session. Roll call.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Torrey? Yes. Mr. Rivers?
Yes.
Mr. Salvi?